Today we are going to talk about actually starting seeds. You know, a lot of us are getting ready to garden in the spring, and then a lot of ours are going to be transplants that we transplant in the garden. And I'm going to do tomatoes because that's the major vegetable or fruit that everybody grows in their garden. So to get started, we need a sterilized soil seed mix. And so there's a lot of them on the market, but here's one that we're going to be using today, this one, and there's also this one. And these are, again, you can see they are seed starting soil media. And it's sterilized, it's clean. The first thing that we're going to do is, before we do this, we're going to actually open this up. We're going to actually pour it in a bucket, and we're going to moisten it. This needs to be moist before we put it in our seed tray. After we do that, we're going to go ahead and fill our seed trays, and I have one here, and it just so happens these are actually the biodegradable pots. A lot of them come with plastic pots, you know, little cells that you put in there. Either way, I use these because I can actually transplant these directly in the ground because they are biodegradable. So I'm actually going to fill this up with a seed mix. It just so happens I mixed this up yesterday in a bucket of water, and I'm just going to go through here and fill the rest of these little cells, level them off. And again, this is already moist. I have to have it moist. I can't have it dry. So we'll just go ahead and fill it up. And while we're doing that, we're patting those in because we're not doing it completely across the top of it because we have to cover our seeds after we plant them. So I'm more or less raking this across and having those filled up. Now today I'm actually planting tomato seeds. You know, a lot of people are doing their pepper seeds, their tomato seeds, or maybe their eggplants, because these are plants that we grow inside until it gets warm enough to plant them outside. So I've already filled up. I'm actually doing a cream sausage tomato seed. It's a new variety of tomato that I want to try. And they are tiny, so what I do is pour them on a white sheet of paper, and then you can actually spread the seeds around. So I actually use a pair of tweezers because they are tiny. And what I'm going to do is take 2 seeds per cell. And that way, I know that I increase my chances of germination. And usually I get both seeds coming up. And so what I do after it's growing, I take a scissors and snip out the weaker one and let the other one grow. So what I'm going to do now is pick up the individual tomato seeds. They're very tiny. This is one. I'm going to stick it in these cells, and I'm actually going to do two seeds per cell, and then I'm going to actually space them in that cell just so they have room to grow. And I would make sure when you start from one way and you work around, because otherwise you're not going to be able to see which ones you've already seeded because it matches the soil mix. So again, and usually what I will do is fill, depending on how many I want, I'll fill 1 cell pack. And this one is a 6 cell pack for each deal. And I'm on my 6th one with 2 seeds. Now, after I plant the second seed in here, I'm just going to slightly press the seed in here. Again, you're going to have to look closely because these tomato seeds match the actual soil media. So once I do that, then I'm going to come back with my moistened seed mix soil, and I'm going to cover it with a 1/4 inch over the top of this seed mix. Again, it's only a 1/4 inch. These tomato seeds are tiny. We don't want to plant them too deep, otherwise they're just going to sit there and rot. And then once I cover them, I'm going to pat them down, which works out great. Now the next step is, after you fill up all the seed plants, you can actually take water, like a mister bottle, and spray this down more just so the top of it's wet. All right, once I do that, this is the choice that you have. We've got to get them germinated, and they need heat to do it. So we have several options to do it. If I, by any chance, buy this heating mat, and it's, so directly for starting seeds. It's a little thin mat. It's kind of like a little bitty electric blanket. It's low voltage. And we actually want to set this tray on top of this mat to do it. We'll plug that in. That actually is going to warm up the soil. It's going to think of as Mother Nature cheating, you know. It's going to warm up the soil. It's going to say, hey guys, the soil's already warm. I'm going to go ahead and break dormancy and I'm going to go ahead and germinate. You can do it that way, or if you do not have a seed mat, heating mat, a lot of people will take them and put them up on top of the refrigerator, because usually our refrigerator has a little bit of heat coming off of it, or they'll actually take it and set it on top of their radiator. You know, if you have a radiator in your house, they'll set it on top of the radiator. And again, the reason for that is we have to heat this soil mix up, because we got to fake it out to where it's thinking it's nature, and we got to bring it up to around 75 to 85 degrees. And we do that by this route. We leave that on that refrigerator or on that radiator or in that warm spot for at least probably around 7 days. And after it happens, 7 days, you should start noticing germination. The little seedlings will start popping up. It's critical that you watch these every day, because once the little seedlings pop up, you're going to actually put a clear tray on top. It comes with a clear tray with these seed things. Or if you don't have the seed clear thing, you can actually, surround it with saran wrap or whatever. Now, if you're going to have to do the saran wrap, clear plastic wrap, I suggest that you mark, with these little markers. You get labels that come with them. Or I actually it's easy for me to take those, disposable knives that you get, break them apart, and actually label it. So I'm putting the date, and I'm putting whatever I'm sowing, that variety, on this. And I'm actually sticking that in here for each one of these that I did, just so I know that that cell pack is that variety. And again, I'm doing this for two reasons. If I didn't have a clear cover, I can actually take clear saran wrap and go around it, and this will hold it up and above the actual seedlings. So when that happens, those seedlings will start emerging, which is great. Then when you notice them starting to sprout, we're going to have to take these into a bright light window area. So if you have a bright light coming through a window, we'll place them there, because they're going to start photosynthesizing, making food. And we're going to watch them sprout up and grow. Now, you'll notice after a while, condensation, water droplets will form on this, which is great because we have a controlled environment. But if you have seedlings with their, they start getting their second or third leaf, you might want to crack this open and lay a pen or a pencil here just for ventilation. But again, it's going to be critical that you have this light. It's going to take light for those plants to continue to grow. And again, a lot of people put them in a bright window just for that. Another thing to remember, if you have a window source, you're going to have to rotate this around, because the plants will go towards the light. They'll lean towards the light. So, after a day, you're going to have to come through here and rotate to the other side, just so it evens it out if you're growing through a natural window light. Now, most of us, if we don't have a window bright enough, we will actually buy these nice little seed starting things with grow lights. And so it just so happens that this will fit right into this. Then we can lower this down. And when I lower that down, the reason I'm lowering is I want to make sure I grow with the plants. So I'm actually lowering this light down. I'm actually plugging in a light on it. These are a grow light. And so what it is this is going to provide the light that we're not getting because we don't have a window to put it in. So I'm actually letting it grow. And then once that plant gets tall enough, I don't want that plant hitting this plastic. I will take the plastic off, and it will continue to grow. As the plant grows, we raise the light. We want to follow that plant as it gets taller and taller. And I am going to try to do it. It's easy enough to do, just to raise it on each side. Again, you're just going to follow the plant as it grows up. Because if you don't, and you put this light up really high, you're going to get a lot of leggy plants, tall, gangly plants, and we don't want that. We want a more structured, short, stocky plant as it grows. So we're going to follow it along as it grows and just raise it up. But this will max out at a certain height, which is great. But once you do that, it's time to move them out to the garden. So these I'm planting now will be germinating in a week, and then I'll have all of March to get them up and growing. I'll fertilize them with half a water solution, like a fertilizer, water-soluble solution. And then I will get ready to transplant them outside into the garden. And it just so happens I have a peat pot. This is a biodegradable one, so I can actually pull this apart and plant it directly into the soil. But if you don't have that and you have plastic, you're going to have to pull them out of that plastic cell, plant them in the ground. Another thing to consider yourself about, when you have seedlings growing indoors, we need to harden them off before we plant them out in direct sunlight, because they're not used to the outside elements. So that means I'll be taking this flat once it's up and growing with plants, and I'll move it underneath my covered porch, and then I will gladly move it to the edge where it gets used to the temperatures outside and to the sunlight, and then it goes out into full sunlight. And the reason for this, we don't want a hard transplant shock on them, because the plants they have to get used to those outside elements. If I take this directly from the house and plant it in the ground outside, those plants are going to suffer a little bit. So we're gradually hardening them off where they can actually grow very well outdoors. So with that being said, if you have any questions, you're welcome to pull up our website, uaex.uada.edu, to get more information. So thank you very much.